you keep hearing the phrase, the new normal. What is the new normal? And one of the things that they talked about was the new normal is going to mean a lot more flexible working, both from the pushes from employees. Employees now, they have work from home and don't have the daily commute, etc. They can still access a lot of the tools, but also from employers, as you touched on, Alex, you know, and Diana. People are starting to realise they can get things done they can trust their employees at home. It's often been a trust factor, and I think people now they've had a taste of it, are seeing they can actually do it, and I think that's going to be the new norm. There will be more of a demand for people working at home, working flexibly, working in you know, manned offices or wherever it may be. And we need to be prepared for that. So yeah, it just reflects very much what the mental health people were telling me.
And obviously QDO can support all of that transition, can't you? Absolutely.
It's something, as Alex said, we've been, you know, most of us have been home. I've been a home worker at times for probably best on 15 to 20 years. So the tools have always been there. The general public, most people haven't embraced them as quickly, but we're definitely seeing it embraced at the moment, and people are using the tools. And yeah, we've got all those tools available, so it's a good time to be talking to people.
Great, thank you, Seamus. Now I can see Chris has managed to join in. I don't think the other Chris, we still have Tony, so I'll carry on a bit and see if Tony manages to get in before we do the Raynes Park Association. Is that okay?
Tony's waiting.
Yeah.
My log on wouldn't work, so Caroline sent me hers.
Yeah, I can see, and I've got someone else joining, so as Caroline, so presumably that's Tony trying to come in. Yeah, so okay, Nina, you raised your hands. Let's go to Nina next then for your update.
Thank you, Diana. Hello, everyone. I am one of these stories that was totally and utterly saved by Merton Chamber a couple of weeks ago when I discovered that I was eligible for this grant that I had no idea about. So I know I've already said thank you by email, but I am so thankful because you introduced me to David Kepler at the council, and I think things progressed really quickly once I contacted him. And Alex, hello. I know we've emailed and talked to each other, but we haven't actually done any business together yet. So it's nice to put a name to a face, face to a name. So my name's Nina, and I run a photography company. And yeah, my business has obviously completely and utterly stopped because I photograph people, and I also video people, and I've not been able to do that since lockdown. But I'm actually very thankful for this grant because it's going to enable me to diversify. And what I'm going to try and do is use my new studio, which I only just opened at the beginning of March, which is at the Lombard Business Park, to offer product and pack shop photography, because obviously lots of retailers who don't currently have an e-commerce arm are very keen to put and sell their wares online. So I'm really keen to connect with local businesses specifically just for ease, because obviously I can, you know, I can bring their products to my studio easily, or they can drop their products off to my studio very easily, ensuring they're following government guidelines, you know, because they don't have to physically be in the studio, they can just drop their stuff off. So I would really welcome any help and guidance with really knowing how to connect with local retail businesses, because that's an area I've never had to connect with in the past. And yeah, that's about it.
Great, thank you, Nina. And you know, that is so fascinating, because that's you're a great example of where you've reshaped your business, that the business rates grant is enabling you to get through these torrid few months. And actually there will be, obviously retailers are starting actually to come out of lockdown. That's the word that we've got, and it will be interesting to get the feedback about what's happening in the Raynes Park High Street, but certainly in Wimbledon they are starting to come out of lockdown. So yeah, I'm sure they're interested in that, and we can help with that through linking you into Love Wimbledon Business Improvement District particularly. So
thank you.
We'll take that as an action, Nina, from this meeting. Okay, right. Still no Tony, I'm afraid, Chris and Chris. So
I've got Tony's report, which he's
okay.
sort of sent, so I can go through that as well as my own if you want me to.
Yes, that would be lovely. So shall we hand over to, and Chris is waving his hand. Come on, Chris.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Tony's trying to get in. He's said he's waiting. So can you?
It says he's joining. I can't let someone in that just says joining. It's not. He's not waiting according to my screen. So I can't really do much on that. Julian, yeah, can you
Chris,
help with that?
if you click on the right hand side of your
I'll
mouse,
call him and get back to you.
Yeah, no, it just says joining.
Chris, if you click on the right hand side of your mouse, you can change from being Caroline Cook. You could become Chris then. Can't hear you. Oh well. If you click on
being Caroline.
Yeah, if you click on the right hand side of your mouse. He wants to be Caroline. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, he's happy.
I'll try and get Tony and Diana.
Okay, let's do a couple more then, Chris and Chris, before we, so it'd be nice to have Tony here. Right, who else had their hand up? Yeah, Graham, go ahead.
Thank you. My name's Graham Kennedy. I'm a coach, mentor and consultant, and I help professional services, so law, consulting and technology services businesses to solve their management problems when they're stuck. Most of the conversations I'm having at the moment revolve around either how to restructure as a result of the pandemic and or how and where businesses should focus their efforts. So if anybody wants to have a conversation about that, if that would help unlock further opportunities, I'll be delighted to do that. There's kind of no charge for that given the current pandemic, and often that just helps unlock people's heads and help them see other opportunities or other lines of inquiry that they can pursue. So I'll be delighted to do that. My particular, I'm not sure it's an issue or a problem. I've somehow stumbled into sourcing medical supplies, and in particular personal protective equipment for the NHS. I say sourcing. I've been contacted by somewhere between, well, somewhere I guess between, it's around about a dozen suppliers who have got offers of personal protective equipment, principally sourced from Southeast Asia. And I would just appreciate what I'm struggling with is to get a clear picture of what the demand situation really is. So up to this point, I've pointed all these suppliers at the NHS supply portal and encouraged them to register there, both for NHS England and NHS Scotland. And then I've had a few, unclear conversations with non-exec directors in NHS trusts and some conversations with or email exchanges with procurement professionals in NHS trusts. But the traction I'm getting isn't mirrored. So I'm not getting as much traction as what you'd expect given what you see in the press. That's my issue. So I'm just trying to understand, just like sort of clarity about what the pinch points really are and whether trusts in particular are procuring directly from suppliers or whether they're still going through the supply chain, so that I know whether or not it's worth me focusing on this move at the moment. And at the moment I'm doing all this pro bono, so I'm slightly cautious about investing too much time until I've got a better picture of what the real situation is. Yeah, so how much, whether there are pinch points and what those specific pinch points really are.
And I think you might want to come in on that, on that particular issue, Catherine. Yeah, go ahead.
So thanks, Graham. I'm a chartered physiotherapist working in Wimbledon in private practice, and the last day I worked face-to-face was on the 20th of March.
Right.
So I've had to change my business completely to doing online sort of virtual consultations. I chose not to furlough myself because I wanted to maintain some relationship with clients. So it's gone down significantly. And I have been seeing a few clients online, but far fewer than I would have done in clinic. So the next stage is preparing to get back to work and trying to source PPE to try to get back to work.
Right.
And all of the reputable suppliers that I've phoned and catering suppliers have all had their stock diverted to the NHS.
Right.
So private practitioners and caterers are unable to get PPE unless they source it from China with a delivery date of about 5th of June.
Yeah.
Or
5 to 7 days. 5 to 10 days is the usual time I'm being quoted. But anyway,
you might have better contacts when you look on the internet. I'm not getting anything until 5th of June.
Right.
So that's a real issue for us in case, I don't know whether we will be able to go back and treat face to face, when we will, but actually providing equipment to enable us to do that is difficult at the moment, and catering is the same. And I spoke to a catering supplier yesterday and they said they've been told that stocks will be diverted possibly until October. So there's an awful lot of conflicting information out there. And
we're saying the same thing. Yeah. So
yeah, but there is, depends what your question is. For private practitioners and people outside the NHS, there's a huge market for it.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe we could have a conversation offline after this, just about how we, you know, what we might do. That would be
I'll just wrap up on that. I work very, very closely with the public health team in Merton Council, who obviously link into the CCG and the NHS. So there's a chain of information there. So if you'd like to send me an email, I can send that through to those contacts.
Yeah.
I think I would support what Catherine has said. My interpretation of this is it's at the disconnected parts of business that need the support. So there's a lot of people that are looking now to get PPE and masks and visors and all sorts. There are actually local companies producing these as well. So that's an interesting connection. There's one in Wimbledon that's doing protective visors, for example. There is a wonderful lady, you may have heard from her, Isabella from Quality Stitch. She is making face masks. They're not surgical, the medical ones, but they are face masks. She's producing about 100 a day. So there's these little pockets of production going on. We've seen other people doing aprons and things. So they're not proper PPE, but they are a step towards helping people as we come out of lockdown. So we can help with all those connections. It is, I find it very, how can I put it, messy, I think.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And trying to connect it and remember it all is really very, very difficult. But we'll see what we can do if any of you are interested in that. Right. Oh, hold on. I think, he says it's joining. I've admitted now. So let's see. Ah, look, we have a new screen. Yay!
Oh, hello, made it.
Come on in, Tony.
All right. So I've got a phone, iPad, computer. I'm surrounded.
I'm going to log off now because I'm in as well.
I'm surrounded in technology. Sorry.
That's all right. So Tony, if you move your screen down, we'll be able to see you a little more. We can only see
your nose. You can only
see better.
All right.
See your head.
Head, exactly.
Go now and leave you to it.
Okay.
And you can also right-click on your name, which says Caroline, and type in rename yourself to whoever you'd like to be, but maybe Tony. And we were waiting, Tony. We've had some updates from people in the session, and we were waiting for you to join to do the Raynes Park.
Okay.
So shall I pass over then to Chris Edge? Do you want to kick-start, and then Chris and Tony, and then I'll come back to the updates from everyone else?
Well, I'll hand over to Tony about the report he's done, but just a general comment. I've been dealing with RBS on loans for clients, and they've been exceedingly helpful. You can actually talk to a manager if you remember what they were like.
Hallelujah.
I would strongly suggest any businesses that are struggling, who need cash urgently, that you make contact with your bank, and if you need help, let me know and I'll try and assist. So having said that, I'll hand over to Tony.
Thank you.
Well, there's only really a couple of points. One local thing of interest was the Wimbledon Chase Station development that was put forward to design review panel. There was a public meeting, and I think there were some concerns about it. So the process finally was it went to a design review panel on the 25th of March. It wasn't the conventional panel because none of us actually met in the same room, but individually we all submitted our thoughts on the scheme, and they were coordinated, and so they've been sent now back to the developer. All those comments are confidential at the moment because it's up to the developer to take them on board or not. But anyway, in this current situation, we've advanced the process as much as we can, and we'll have to wait and see whether the developer actually takes on board any comment or presses forward. The design review panel doesn't have like a statutory role to stop anything. There are schemes it gives a traffic light system to, either green, amber or red, and obviously the council can accept what the panel says or not. So it's not like another planning committee, it's simply advisory. But I know it's been exercising some people, and we'll have to wait how it pans out now, really. The only other one, there was a suggestion now of a neighbourhood plan for Wimbledon. And a neighbourhood planning, I'll read this direct. It gives committees direct power to develop a shared vision for their neighbourhood and shape the development and growth of their local area. It runs alongside the local plan. So there is this proposal coming up in Wimbledon, and we met with representatives promoting the plan, simply discuss where one park may start and finish, or where Wimbledon will start and finish, which is about Lower Downs Road at the moment, halfway along, say, Warple Road. And that's about as far as we've got. It needs local support. It's very much a democratic process. It also needs council support. And I understand they're a bit lukewarm about it at the moment. You can understand if you've created your local plan, do you want another plan being created to run alongside it? So there is that issue. But I think the main thing is we need to decide how far maybe Raynes Park would like to have its own neighbourhood plan, whilst Wimbledon is going forward as well. It requires a community commitment because it needs a local body to be established, which could be the Raynes Park Association, which then has the power to draw on funds from government and technical advice as well, because you can imagine you need a lot of mapping, there's a lot of words, and there's a lot of policies. And there are other ways perhaps of doing it as well. What a neighbourhood plan can't do is change some of the fundamentals of the local plan. So if there's a requirement under the London plan to produce, say, 10,000 houses, that 10,000 has to stay. You can't try to lower the density in a neighbourhood plan. You've got to comply with some of the basic fundamentals. You might be able to shape it differently and maybe have less high rise. And if you've got the room, you can spread it sideways instead of going upwards. But what you can't do is to start saying, oh, we don't want all this development, we're going to put in another figure. So there are limitations to how far a neighbourhood plan can run contrary to some of the higher policies as well. So it's very much work in progress. It was just myself and Pete Fisher who had this initial meeting, and we'll see if there's an appetite to take the thing forward, really. But this will help, say, shape Raynes Park as well, and it covers a number of issues. You know, it's not just housing, it's obviously business, public realm spaces, all sorts of things which augment the local plan. So obviously it's a difficult time to try and get everyone together. I can't think of a worse time to try and get people together to get ideas, but it's on hold at the moment, perhaps with just emails between us, just keeping a bit of a low-key dialogue, really.
Yeah, thanks, Tony, my insight to that is the Wimbledon one actually has been under development for, I think, 2 years now. It is, as you say, a very democratic. It comes out actually of the locality bill way back when, but it is very, very complicated. And I think clear boundaries of where it is really important. So yeah, that's my comment on that. But yeah, it is a very complex and long-winded and detailed process to set those up.
Yes, I think people are talking, it would probably take, from a standing start of agreement and a body being set up, it could take 2 years in order to pull the whole thing together. So this isn't a quick fix.
No. Thank you for that. Chris Larkman, then, did you want to come in? Yeah?
Yes, please. So the Raynes Park Association is businesses and residents associations. And what I can say is residents associations are doing a lot in terms of offering support. So the Apostles Residents Association, of which I'm the chair, which is the area to the south of the railway, in each of the roads, we've got volunteers ready to take on tasks of shopping, collecting prescriptions or whatever's needed. And that's worked very well. We got an army of volunteers in each street. We've made it very local. And what we found is there have not been a huge number of requests. And that, thank goodness, because there's been a low number of people with coronavirus who've been unwell and stuck at home. On that, I suppose we had a meeting, a Zoom meeting the other evening. Yes, there's been about 2 families in each street, so about a couple of dozen families that we know roughly who've suffered from coronavirus within our streets. But we've got this system of support set up. There are borough-wide networks, and in a sense there's been a bit of volunteers falling over each other, but we're sort of very pleased that we got something local, neighbourly, that's there and ready to move when needed. On the other front, at these Raynes Park business breakfasts, I always talk to you boringly about the station, but I can confirm that I am continuing and working with Stephen Hammond, our MP, to work towards getting some constructive communication set up to resolve many of the issues that we've got around Raynes Park Station that are still unresolved. So I'm still patiently, even with the town, working on that one. In Raynes Park itself, yes, things are quiet. Most of the cafes, etc., of course, and restaurants are closed. Our main shop is obviously Waitrose, and that's doing a good job. It sort of regiments us as we go in, and most of the shelves are well stacked. For some reason or another, there's no pasta at all. I don't know why. I would have thought people's pantries and garages are now full, but loo rolls are there. So yeah, they're doing us proud, and I have tremendous respect for our shopkeepers who, you know, are very vulnerable because it is person to person, but that's working fairly well. And I suppose that's really all I've got to say today.
Can I just add one thing about business experience? I mean, I spoke to Merton, and as a business, because we're not in retail, we don't get a rates holiday. Because of our rateable value, we don't get any concessions either. The most we've been offered is simply to stretch our rates payment over 12 months instead of 10. We still are trying to do work, so we can't furlough our staff either. So apart from taking on a loan, we're not really being offered very much that is directly helpful to us as a business at the moment. And we're probably not the only ones in that position.
Thanks, Tony. No, we were talking a little bit about that before you were able to join us, and there are quite a few businesses that fall between the gaps, if you like.
Yeah.
And I have to say, one thing that I was going to share with you is that Merton actually is in the top 3 boroughs in London for distributing the grants. They've got, I think, an 88% success rate. It was featured in the Evening Standard a number of days ago. So we have worked extremely closely with them, and as Nina said, we have put people directly in contact with them, and they've taken a very personal approach on helping businesses where they can. But unfortunately, there are a good number of businesses that fall between all the support is there, and that is part of our lobbying to government. And we have this Reach Out and Connect next Tuesday with Paul Scully, who's Parliamentary Under Secretary of State. So it's an opportunity to pose those questions directly to him.
Right.
So if you'd like to join that, that's on Tuesday. Right, okay, let's go. So I need some more hands then, so we get through this. Diane and then Sylvia then. I'll get through you all. Yeah.
Hi, Diane Carey-AccountingEarth. I just want to apologise. I think my internet's not brilliant. We have builders next door, and I think it's making a bit of an issue. So, like my colleague Julian over there, we are very busy, and we've taken our business home, even though we are paying for an office and are not getting any discount for that, apart from they've given us the £20 internet Wi-Fi back. Because they're too big. We're also, Nina, we must be neighbours. I'm at Deer Park Studios. So we are one of the many businesses that aren't getting any help. So we're obviously got increased costs because we've had to move our business home, and we're obviously going to be paying more gas and electricity, but we're also still paying for an office that obviously all our stuff is still at. So yeah, we're one of those people that's fallen through. We're doing our absolute best, obviously, to support all our clients, and I hope that all of you guys have got good accountants and people around you that are doing the same for furloughing and business grants and all the financials. And I hope that we're doing a good job to support them. And we are hearing, again, all the little people that are falling through the cracks. I don't think there's ever an ideal situation, and I think that the government are polite way of, that they're doomed if they try and they're doomed if they don't, So yeah, I've moved to the Deer Park Studios. I don't get to see you guys as much, so it's really, really nice. Thank you very much for still allowing me to join you today. It's absolutely brilliant, and hopefully when whatever the new normal is, I will be able to start joining you again for breakfast. So yeah, thank you, Diane Carey-AccountingEarth.
Thank you, Diane, and we will hear from Julian shortly. I'm going to go to Sylvia then next. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So some of you know me already. I run a training and consultancy and auditing company. I've been always doing it from home, but I've been running our training courses at Tuition House. So all that has come down now to a standstill. And what my business does is we support the hospitality industry, which has been really hit because of the current situation. And our income comes mainly in from going in, writing all the legal documentation. I don't know if you've ever heard of food safety management systems, health and safety policies. We train the chefs, we do the auditing. So when the inspectors go round, they get their 5-star rating. So the last couple of weeks, we've had to remodel everything from next week. We're going to be offering remote auditing and remote training, and because people still need to have training in hospitality. But what I actually really specialise in is working with Public Health England, the Health and Safety Executive and Food Standard Agency, and I'm classed as a food hygiene expert. And I've been part of a team that is getting the hospitality industry ready. I've already had a conversation with Caroline. And when we're up and running next couple of weeks, I'm going to be offering free training courses to the hospitality industry via Zoom or Teams. But what I've been involved in at the moment is the reopening of the restaurants and how they're going to have to do it through social distancing. Because we have clients in Dubai, and at the moment what's been happening, they've had to reduce their restaurant space by like 30%. Chefs have to work 2 meters. The staff, you know, it's so funny seeing everything just so small at the moment. You know, you're going into a restaurant overseas and you're eating on bamboo plates, bamboo cups, wrap cutlery. And a lot of companies in the UK, small businesses in Merton, won't have the funds to be able to do this. So I'm offering free services to anybody who's interested, is how they will have to set up their business carefully, you know, without spending too much money. A lot of businesses in Merton, like a gentleman earlier said, are closed, but are these people going into their restaurants and checking that the place is okay and it's safe? So we've designed free checklists that if anyone's interested, I can email them to Caroline and Diane, like things that you should be checking, like for health and safety, fire safety, security safety, that we can give to the people for free resources, just to keep them on ticking on by until, you know, hopefully they can recover with the reopening.
Thank you, Sylvia, and that's a really valuable offer, I think, because we do get feedback that some premises are really struggling with rat infestation and things like that. So we are trying to put out things around the whole security of sites, but obviously what you've said as well. So that would be a really valuable offer.
Because what's happening at the moment is we will never be able to go back to how restaurants were. You know, people will have to have a queuing system. There's lots of, I can email you some information if any of your members would like to see what we've been working on so far, so they can have an insight to what might be expected. But until the government sort out the protocols of how the industry is going to run, we don't have any concrete information yet, but it's actually a guideline. Yeah. But I think people will need help, because a lot for our clients, we put all their contracts on hold. We can't expect them to pay for our services while there's no money coming into their business. So we want to utilize our experience and expertise to try and get these people on board, especially, you know, the small businesses, the ones which are family run. You know, we don't want them to close their businesses and that's the end of their, you know, venture.
Yeah, yeah. Really important. Thank you. We'll connect on that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, who's next? I know the names. Claire, you had your hand up, didn't you? Come on. Yeah, if you unmute yourself, yeah.
Okay, thanks. I'm Claire Gummett. I'm the chair at Age UK Merton, which is a small independent charity in Merton, and we've talked before. We're also, I mean, obviously a small business, and we've had to completely change the way we operate in this period. We haven't been able to keep the centre open. So everyone's working from home. A tremendous amount of redeployment's taken place because we've been at the forefront of the volunteer-led people going out and supporting older people and others vulnerable in the community. So we've in the last couple of weeks, we've taken on over 100 new volunteers. That's new volunteers. We had 100 before. This is doubled the number in the space of a couple of weeks, which has been a tremendous amount of work. The business element of it is that we'd worked really hard to build a sustainable funding sources so that we had some income generating services. Those we've had to stop, basically because we can't be going in and out of people's homes at the moment. But that leaves a huge problem, finance. So we're now a lot more dependent on grants and donations, but also where it's a real problem is for the older people that we were supporting and are still supporting. So where they would come into the centre and have that contact with other people, we're now trying to make that contact continue through phone calls. So our staff are redeployed, some of them to constantly be on the phone, checking out that people are getting the food they require, the company they require on the phone. And the next stage is going to be a very slow one, because with our client group, they're not going to be able to start coming back into the centre for some considerable time, I imagine. So we're now looking at, now that the dust is not quite settling, but at least we can start seeing our head above water, we're now looking at how we can support those people who would normally be coming into the centre and getting out and about, to still retain all the active ageing that we've been working on, the social connectedness, and just those areas are going to need more funding, whereas they were bringing in some funding before. So we're having to completely relook at how our funding streams work. So that's just a bit of an update, but there is some tremendous work going on out in the borough, and we're very lucky in Raynes Park that there doesn't appear to be that much immediate need. However, I think there are people still in Raynes Park who are very, very needy. So we mustn't forget that in the sort of overall picture. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. And we haven't got too many charities in the audience today, but yeah, the charity sector is really struggling because many of the grant funds have been redirected to COVID-19. So charities that aren't directly on the front line doing that have really got uncertain futures. So I know there's a lot of work going on nationally to try and get that message through, because obviously we need all those grassroots charities to get through this, to support all the cohorts. And I'll just say on that, that any of you that are connected to charities, the Merton Giving Coronavirus Fund has been set up to support local charities, not only those that are dealing with COVID-19, but actually to help them sustain themselves in a very short term. It's got funding from Merton Council, the Wimbledon Foundation, Clarion Housing, Moat Housing, and actually businesses. And a big thank you to businesses that have supported Merton Giving since the Chamber got involved in that with Merton Voluntary Services Council. I have a team member that works totally on that, and there are some lovely stories there, but we have so far, I think, giving out funds to 19 charities, so hopefully that money being redistributed back into the Merton community will help some of those charities do the very valuable work that they do. Right, okay, we've got, I think, 3 more people, I think, that haven't spoken. So Tanya, where are you? Do you want to come in now? Yep.
Yeah, unmute myself. And so, yes, my name is Tanya Mayer, and I represent ACE Web Studio. We are a small team of friendly web developers with over 10 years of experience and personal approach to all our projects. We specialize in search engine optimizations, high performance, fast mobile-friendly websites with many different features, including business portfolios, events calendars, booking systems, online shops, online courses, and much more. So during these times, difficult times, and self-distancing and self-isolation, web presence and web communication are becoming particularly important and sometimes life-saving for the small businesses. So we are currently prioritizing new clients who need to either redesign their current website or quickly build a new one. And so we can give free 15 minutes consultation on Skype or Zoom. And actually, we are based on Lombard Business Park. Yeah, hello, Nina. So just we're in the same building. Yeah, so just and Diane, so just we're neighbors. And yeah, so just we can have a tea together on 2 meters distance. And actually, in downstairs in Lombard Business Park, we have very nice reception area. We can just meet up and talk. And like everyone else. And because, you know, just internet now, just connecting everyone, friends, families, and businesses, and just, and we are surviving, you know, just because of that. Yeah. You know, this Zoom, Skype, and emails, and, you know, whatever. So guys, whatever help you need, please get in touch. And we have very, very nice team, and a couple of our young guys working, you know, remotely because it's web-based. And so this is it. This is today's world. And like I said, so whatever help you need, please get in touch.
Thank you, Tanya. Okay, I think we've got Julian, Lynette, and Patrick that haven't spoken. So either anyone want to unmute themselves and come in from Patrick? Yep. If you unmute yourself, Patrick, can you? Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Patrick Orr. I'm a company commercial solicitor for Litchfield Solicitors. We focus on business law essentially, so company, commercial, dispute resolution, employment, and IP. Obviously, in the uncertain times at the moment, a lot of the work is of a slightly negative character, I suppose. So it's principally really helping businesses and business owners through the coronavirus outbreak with continuity planning, I suppose, of different types. So dealing with employment issues, which tend to be parked mainly at the moment in terms of furlough. Obviously, longer ahead, they're going to have to look at the slightly more difficult issues because people will reach redundancy scenarios. And dispute resolution, which, to be honest, is obviously a lot of slowdown in debt payment at the moment, which obviously affects a lot of SMEs, and renegotiating commercial contracts, which is a side thing. People often don't look at their core contracts when business is moving in a normal, positive way, and it's only really when you get scenarios like now or economic downturns that people find that they haven't actually put a contract in place, or the contract they have isn't very good, and it creates difficulties now. I think there's a lot of people are finding that. Going forward, obviously people are beginning to think now about reopening, so we're also beginning to focus on what people will do when we come out of the coronavirus. People have talked about some of the problems already with social distancing and how we deal with that either in restaurants, but it affects all businesses. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about people getting used to working from home and moving towards a more plug and play environment and cooperative working spaces and so on. But the reality is that they have this social distancing problem as well. For those who have been in them or who are in them, they know that people tend to sit quite closely. So it'll be interesting to see how those businesses react to that. Obviously, we're looking to help businesses through the coronavirus. Happy to speak to anyone free of charge. If people have got a problem, pick up the phone and we'll chat to you. Obviously, there are limits to that, but you know, the aim is to help everyone get through and move forward. And obviously, looking for people who are reorganizing and looking to develop going forward. People will be buying businesses, people will be selling businesses, people will be doing ventures going forward. Business is not going to come to a total standstill, and I know the accountants, whilst they've got other things coming out of the schemes, will probably have the same view. And the one thing I would say about continuity planning, and it's probably for all professionals in this, is all businesses have things that they don't deal with when they're doing their normal day-to-day business, simply because they don't have time. But there are always things to be eradicated. And when you're buying, selling businesses, you always see some holes somewhere that people just haven't got round to dealing with. And this is a good time to deal with that as part of your continuity planning. There are always savings to be made where people have been wasting money. Get rid of those costs. But anyone wanted to have a chat about anything, whether it's positive, negative, happy to talk. If we can help you, great. If we can't help you, we normally know someone who can. So call us.
Thank you.
Keep to talk.
Yeah. No, and obviously the devil is in the detail is what we've got in the contract world. Yeah. And getting proper advice on that is absolutely critical. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't read their contracts. They just sign them. So, I mean, we had a client who merrily signs 100, 120 page contracts. And their reason for doing this when I was first introduced them was, well, they're boring and we've never had a problem. But now they do have problems.
Yeah.
But it's not unusual, particularly in there. Now you have all of these internet contracts where to click through, you have to click the box which says you've read the terms and conditions. Most people don't.
No. Yeah. Wise words.
Easy to talk after the event.
It is. Julian, do you want to come in then from an accountant's perspective and follow up on that, and then I'll come to you, Lynette.
Well, we had, before this all started, we had 20 people working in Tuition House. The managers sort of come in and pick stuff up, and so a firm of accountants pick the paperwork up and whatever. Luckily, one of the lads lives in the block of flats opposite Tuition House, so he goes in every day, and we've taught him how to do, much to his disgust, I think, taught him how to do all the admin, and he can take money on credit card, and he can go to the bank and pay the checks in and all that sort of stuff. So he's become a bit of an administrator. Our problem, I think, is that, you know, at the moment we've got loads and loads of work because we're helping all our clients with their furlough claims. And we've got people on furlough as well, and we're dealing with all that, and it's very busy. But it's really hard to manage a team of people, you know, when you're auditors and you delegate work, and it's really hard to manage those people remotely. So the people that we did put on furlough are the youngsters. We didn't reduce their pay, you know, they're on full, they think it's great, they're on full pay, you know, that they're sitting at home with nothing to do, but they're now getting bored. And that's why there's a drive, I think, for people to get back to work. And the biggest problem, I know Alex was saying about office space, but ideally we need 4 times as much space. So we can social distance and have everyone shouting at each other, you know, across a massive, great big office. One of my clients does the environmental monitoring of offices for Legionnaire's disease and all that sort of stuff. And they've got a lab, and they've had to work it so that normally there's 6 people working in the lab, but they've done it on shifts of 2 and time shifts, so they can keep their distance. And I think what's going to happen is people like us are going to split our business into 2 teams. You know, and we'll have one team going to work for 2 weeks, and the other team working at home for 2 weeks, because that's what a lot of big players have done. Like the Bank of England have done that. You know, there's lots of people that have split things into teams. But if you know anyone that wants any help, any advice, now's the time to, you know, maybe close your business down and start a different business. Best ways to do that, or come up with some fantastic ideas for new businesses and start them on the right foot. You can just ring Hartley Fowler's landline, which is on my desk in Purley. It's incredible, isn't it? I just plugged it into my Skybox at home, and it works. I don't know why. Don't care really, but it just works. So we're still operating as normal. So just give us a call.
That's lovely, Julian. I was going to say, Seamus, maybe it's one of your phones that he's using. You never know.
I was about to say, if you don't know how to work it, it works quite easily. But it's great. Yeah, I agree totally with you. You can have a phone just plug in at home, or even have a mobile that when you dial out on a mobile, it looks like you're dialing from the office, and people are coming to the office. So it's fantastic, all these tools.
The only problem is, of course, I am all 3 offices of Hartley Fowler. So sometimes I have to pull the plug out the wall.
Yes.
Just to get a bit of peace. But apart from that, it's okay. Cheers, Em.
Thank you, Julian. Right, let's go to Lynette.
Hello. I'm going to keep this really brief because I'm afraid I've got to shoot off to another meeting. But yeah, so I'm Executive Director at Polka Theatre, Children's Theatre, just down the end of the Broadway in Wimbledon. And we are currently closed for redevelopment, so we're in a slightly strange position. That we have a temporary team in place at the moment, and our office is based at the new Wimbledon Theatre, but obviously we're all now working at home because that venue is also closed. We have, I mean, we furloughed over half our staff, and we are looking into things like the CBILS loan through our bank, which we may or may not take up. But basically our kind of aim at the moment really is to conserve the cash for the charity whilst trying to do what we can to support the community in the way that we do. So we've launched Polka Online, which is on our website, and every week we put out new content, which is things like storytellings, workshops, activity packs aimed at both parents and teachers who are educating and entertaining children at home. So we're trying to get that information out there. But we're also trying to move as many of our activities online as we can. So our schools workshops, we can't do all of them online, but some of the big projects we were doing, we're doing through Zoom and Seesaw, which is a platform that schools use. And some of our community activities we're trying to deliver through the online methods as well. We're looking into how our community choir with Merton Music Foundation can be continued online, and our free forwarding program, which is supporting children who are living in challenging circumstances. So trying to keep as much going as we can, but it is a very challenging time, and this is affecting our capital redevelopment timeline. We don't know yet what that means, but we're kind of trying to hold our nerve at the moment and just see just how big the delay is, because we know it's going to cause a delay to our reopening. It's a pretty challenging time across the whole theatre sector as well as the charity sector, and theatre industry is likely to be one of the biggest hit, because any venue that gathers hundreds and thousands of people together is likely to be one of the last to reopen. So we're all just kind of looking at all the different contingency plans across the sector. Has anything being talked about for reopening from this September through to next Easter? So it really is a kind of totally unknown quantity at the moment. But what I would say, we're just trying to do what we can to offer things to the local community where we can, but with a reduced team, and knowing that financially we're going to be facing a pretty big hole that we're going to have to look at how we deal with over the next 12 months.
Thank you, Lynette. And Lynette and I were in a meeting the other day, and I think we all agreed that it's like planning on quicksand. We're not quite sure what is happening, but whatever we're doing, we've got to do it quickly. There's no time to sort of review and consolidate and review again. It's just got to happen, and it's a new world, isn't it? But amazing stuff. Caroline, have I missed anything? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up. No? Right, okay. So I just wanted to say, I mean, to me, just listening to you all today, this borough is amazing. I just think, hearing what you're all doing, you're getting through this. I know it's really, really challenging, and obviously keeping well and keeping safe is the key priority for every one of us. But I just think it's amazing, and I'd like to say thank you, actually. And I hope that you've got some valuable insights from this session. I certainly have. And our message out to the community is really to think local and act local, because we need to make sure this community gets through this, and businesses play an absolute critical role in that through employment and the whole contribution into the economy. So where we can, let's support local, work local, and that as the Chamber of Commerce is what we're all about. So I'm going to wrap up there because we are slightly over time. We did start late, but unless anyone's got anything critical that they would like to say, I'm going to suggest that we do a big group wave, because we can't do hugs or anything, and we look forward to getting your feedback and seeing you next time. All right, thank you everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, bye.